You mentioned how you grew up in the weed scene and your parents are psychedelic Jewish hippies. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, my dad is a cannabis, or he's a criminal defense lawyer. So his specialty has been defending people who are busted for cannabis and other drugs. I mean, he did all sorts of cases. He used to say from marijuana to murder, but his main thing was weed. And he ran for office several times, not to win, but just to bring attention to the legalize it movement. And so like when I was in high school and even middle school, I would get do work for my dad, like work in his lobby of the office waiting room, and I would interface with people who were kids my age who were getting busted for gang crimes or drug crimes or dealing weed or and this is the people I was exposed to as a kid. So there's that, right? Drug war activism is like a family value and something I'm deeply passionate about. Secondly, both my parents, they're definitely like huge cannabis consumers, also like done their fair share of psychedelics. My dad ended up in India and through Ramdas Maharaji, who is the if Ramdas, the author of Be Here Now, they have the same guru. And so they're part of the same friend group. They call it the satsang. And so much of the seeking that I saw Ramdas do and that so many of their contemporaries did was motivated by psychedelics, right? These post-Holocaust Jewish people who maybe were disillusioned with the type of religious spirituality that they were getting, especially after the Holocaust, like people just wanted to assimilate. It was hard to really dive into the depths and weirdnesses of Judaism when you're in this framework of, okay, like people's families are just like now surviving and dealing with all this trauma. And so there's this movement of people now in their 60s and 70s who are quote unquote Hindus who went seeking for spirituality, did a lot of psychedelics, went to India, found yoga, meditation, whatever, and that is their religion, so to speak. And what I'm seeing now is actually like a return to the more Jewish aspect of things, where you have different rabbis, people from Hasidic Jewish communities who are discovering psychedelics, grandchildren of Holocaust survivors, people who are really taking stock of where we are as a Jewish culture and people and whatever, and saying, yes, there's a lot of trauma. Yes, there's a lot of assimilation. Yes, there's a lot of if you're coming from a super religious background, non-assimilation and feeling left out of the mainstream that way. But everyone is coming together over psychedelics and treating trauma and doing self-exploration and coming to an awareness and honest relationship to religion through the psychedelic path. And I think that's really interesting.